Alrighty, Brisbane Lions, as we said, back in town and almost back in the 8 too, and this came at the expense of a very, very disappointing Port Adelaide.
They went on a 12-goal streak, Tony. Brilliant by the Brisbane Lions, and they are coming, and it's just going to be hard. As Lordo said, they're going to have to win every game or not drop too many, but almost uncompetitive, Port Adelaide yesterday. You look at some of these stats and you look at some of these highlights, and there was just mistake after mistake and just a lot of space for the Brisbane Lions. They didn't tag anybody. They allowed Lachie Neale to run around on his own. They put a little bit of time into McCluggage, then dropped that off, but it was all one-way traffic, and they got Charlie Cameron back into form, and that was synonymous of their day yesterday. Two players going for the football and then an easy goal.
They have a good run. They do have a good run, TJ. A lot of Gabba games in the next 5 weeks, so they should be top 6 by the end of that period.
A great one for the mindset, though, to win on the road in Adelaide against Port Adelaide.
And also to just hold together too when it was really disastrous early in the season when they had 5 ACLs on their list and losing matches coming off a grand final loss, and they just stayed firm and stayed with what they knew basically, and then got some form out of the players they needed to.
And I love what Chris Fagan's done. So many players have spoken about. He got up in front of us 2.5, 3 weeks ago. This is what the players are saying, and he put out all the stats where we're top 4, and he said all we're doing wrong, we're just not kicking straight. Our goal kicking has been appalling. We kick straighter, we would have won another 3 games. It's amazing how it's come through in the players' interviews where he sold them hope and belief, and they're really playing some great footy.
All above the shoulders. All right, here we go. Not surprisingly, this match is the catalyst for Kane's Volcano.
Yeah, so it's about to get ugly, you suspect, at Port Adelaide. I've been really defensive of Ken Hinkley because I believe he's largely got the best out of the group that he has got, and the effort has never wavered. Well, now the effort is starting to waver. It was a special day yesterday, 20 years since Port Adelaide won the premiership. They celebrated that with these players who played, Wakeland, Burgoyne. You can see it all there, Sean, Matthew Bishop, Brendan Lade, and then the guard of honour for the players to come through.
Kane?
I wasn't there, Brownie, had to work, but they're wearing that Guernsey as well, the same Guernsey in 2004 that the team won the premiership, so you want to put in a good performance. I'll show you what sort of performance they put in with a midfield that says Rosie, Butters, Horne-Francis. They got beaten by stoppage by 55 points. Have a look at Jeremy Finlayson's effort here. Is that a chase in the first quarter of a game that is 20 years since you won the premiership and you've got premiership players watching? Zirk Thatcher just comes off for no good reason, and there's a walk-in goal. These are all stoppage goals, as I said, 55 points from stoppage. Who's working here? As you said, no one went to Lachie Neale. There's Berry and Lachie Neale inside the stoppage. Watch this. Watch this go. Watch the lack of effort and chase from play. There's the 2 players that were inside the stoppage. No one anywhere near them. Good luck trying to defend that on Joe Danaher. So this is a team that thought they had a good midfield. They don't. Here's Sweet back in the side. Ivan Soldo was dropped. What sort of effort is that? Big Oscar McInerney kicked a career high 3 goals. McCluggage kicked that ball in from a free kick in the centre bounce. Horne-Francis misses a tackle that he just has to nail. Rayner just brushed him off, and then guess who kicks the goal? Hugh McCluggage, who was the one that kicked the ball inside forward 50. That's where I get concerned for Ken Hinkley, when your side delivers an effort like that on what should be a really special day for the footy club.
Okay, you know this club better than anyone. Could you see them terminating his contract while the season's still going, or at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think he'll know, Lordo, when that time. He's got a pretty good lens on where he sits. He's been around for a long time, and it's probably getting to the point where he's starting to look at those efforts and go, is this playing group really playing for me now, like they have done for 12 years?
I've never seen coaches ever do that, though, Kane. Like that, they say, yeah, I know my time and I'm walking away. You generally believe...
Yeah, I think Nathan Buckley is probably a similar scenario to that at Collingwood. It's probably the one that sticks with me. So I think there'll be a discussion between him and the club. It was always going to be, if you don't go deep in the finals, that you're probably time to say goodbye at the end of the year. Does it come before that? It's hard to say, and I guess the next month, and we'll see how that plays out.
And a pocket of the Port Adelaide fans have already delivered their own verdict in a none too subtle or mature manner.
Yeah, the booing, TJ, post-match. And it even affected the rival coach yesterday, Chris Fagan, who's the first voice you see here, and then Ken Hinkley himself addresses it.
If there's one disappointment about winning today's game, it's the fact that he got booed off the ground. I don't like that. You know, his record here at this club is extraordinary, and he shouldn't be judged on one performance.
It's not fun. It's not what I enjoy. It's just what the reality is of my job. If you can't cope with it, you probably shouldn't be in my job. I can cope with it. I don't enjoy it, but it's not my favourite time. But my favourite time is watching my team play well.
He's always been so stoic, Ken Hinkley, and look, I'm glad he is, because I don't get the booing side of it. I understand supporters feel it's a God-given right to do so, but let's have a wider chat about the power, because Chris Davies on your station yesterday, Kane, SEN, had this to say about where he sees the club in the big picture.
There are parts of our game that we know we can get better, that will make us better in 2024, rather than having to look too far down the track and think that, this group is not good enough. Maybe we're not, but that is not going to stop us from trying to get the maximum out of our team in 2024 that we can. And I don't think we've achieved that yet.
At 8-6, the season is still well and truly alive. And I've got a strong view that whatever happens to Ken Hinkley will be determined after the last game of this year. Be that missing finals, be that making finals. But I don't feel anything, Lordo, to your question, will be done until that point has arrived.
Yeah, the treatment of that was disgraceful from the fans there. I think regardless of what happens, he's been an excellent coach who came in when the club was absolutely on its knees and gave them some good times. I mean, a kick away from a grand final a couple of times, and when the time is right, I hope that they can look back and celebrate the coach that he's been. I guess the broader question is, who's the next coach? And we'll get to that. And they seem to have locked themselves into Josh Carr, which I think is a mistake to do that. As good as I think Josh Carr will be, you've got to open the search far and wide, TJ, and get the absolute best coach. So start with utopia. Can we get Chris Scott? Start there and then work your way down. To lock yourself into a position and guarantee another person the job, to me, would be a mistake to do that.
Is there an element of the anti-Victorian sentiment with Ken Hinkley?
Yeah.
I mean, Gary Ayres went through that, when he was at the Crows.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that it's the element of time. You've been there for so long. They're a supporter group that celebrated SANFL premierships every second year. They don't realise it's not the SANFL and they're hard to win. So after 12 years, that they've had enough, and that becomes a problem for the club to handle.